3 income streams that actually pay you while you're asleep, and not one of them is crypto, dropshipping, or some course somebody's trying to sell you at 2 in the morning. I'm going to show you exactly what they are, how much you can realistically make, and how to start with the money you already have sitting in your checking account right now. And look, I know how that sounds. Make money while you sleep is the single most overused phrase on the entire internet. Every guy with a rented Lamborghini and a ring light has said it. So let me be straight with you before we go 1 inch further. Not one of these is going to make you rich by Friday. None of them are passive in the way those guys mean it, where you do nothing and cash rains down. What they actually are is money that keeps moving after you stop moving. You do the work once, or you set the thing up once, and then it pays you again and again without you clocking back in. That's the real version of while you sleep, and that version is completely real. Here's why this matters more for you than for almost anybody. If you're making your money by trading hours for dollars, and most of us in our late 20s and early 30s are, then the second you stop, the money stops. You get sick, the money stops. You take a Tuesday off, the money stops. Your whole financial life is standing on one leg, and that one leg is you showing up. That's not a character flaw, that's just how a paycheck works. It's designed to end the moment you clock out. So what we're building today is a second leg, and a third. Just enough that if the first one wobbles, you don't hit the floor. Before I get into the first one, real quick, if you're the kind of person who's smart enough to earn decent money but somehow never had anybody actually sit you down and show you how to keep it or grow it, this channel is built for exactly you. Subscribe and stick around because everything I make is for people who are done with the guru nonsense and just want a system that works. That's it. Back to it. Income stream number 1, high-yield savings and short-term treasuries. And before your eyes glaze over, stay with me for 30 seconds because this is the one almost everybody skips, and it's the one that's the most guaranteed money you will ever find in your life. Here's the deal. If you've got money sitting in a regular checking or savings account at Chase or Bank of America or Wells Fargo right now, they are paying you basically nothing on it. I'm talking like 0.01%. That's not a number, that's an insult. They're taking your money, lending it out, making real money on it, and handing you back a nickel at the end of the year like they did you a favor. Meanwhile, an online high-yield account at Ally or Marcus or Capital One 360 or SoFi has been paying somewhere around 4%, give or take, depending on when you're watching this. 4% versus 0.01. Same dollars, same you. The only difference is which building the money's parked in. Let me put an actual number on this so it stops being abstract. Say you've got $10,000 sitting in your regular savings account, which for a lot of people is the emergency fund, the don't touch it money. At your big bank's rate, that 10 grand earns you maybe $1 a year. $1. You can't even get off the dollar menu with that. Move that exact same $10,000 into a high-yield account at 4%, and it's making you around $400 a year. Same money. Same risk, which is basically zero because these are all insured the same way your big bank is. You did nothing except open a different account and move the money over, which takes about 15 minutes on your phone. And now it pays you $400 a year to sit there. I'm gonna be real with you. I left money in a normal Bank of America savings account for years, just sitting there earning nothing while I told myself I'd get around to it. Actually, let me be more honest than that. I didn't even know the gap was that big. Nobody told me. I thought all savings accounts were basically the same, and the difference between them felt like the kind of thing that only mattered if you were rich. It's the exact opposite. It matters most when you don't have a lot, because every dollar has to work as hard as it can. Now, if you want to squeeze even a little more, there's short-term treasuries. That's just you lending money to the government for a few months and them paying you back with interest. You can buy them straight through a Treasury Direct account, or the easier way, through a money market fund inside a brokerage like Fidelity or Schwab. Sometimes the yield's a touch higher than the savings account, sometimes it's about the same, and one nice thing is you don't pay state tax on the interest. But honestly, for most people watching this, the high-yield savings account is 90% of the win. Start there. The Treasury stuff is the bonus round. And here's the part I really want you to hear. This is the most while you sleep money that exists on the planet. You are literally unconscious and the interest is still landing in your account. No customer, no inventory, no skill to learn, nothing to post. It's the one stream where doing nothing is the entire job. So if you take one thing from this whole video and ignore the rest, it's this. Tonight, before you go to bed, open an account at Ally or Marcus or SoFi and move your savings over. That's the move. That one alone will out-earn most of the hustle advice you've been sold, and it takes less time than ordering DoorDash. Okay, that's the safe one. Let's get into the one that actually builds real wealth over time, and this is where most people mess up without even realizing it. Income stream number 2. Dividend-paying investments inside your regular brokerage and your 401k. This is the one that quietly turns into the biggest number of your life, and almost nobody in their 20s gives it a real look because it's boring and slow. And boring and slow is exactly why it works. Here's the whole idea in plain English. When you buy a share of a big, stable company, or better yet a fund that holds hundreds of them at once, a lot of those companies send out a piece of their profit to shareholders a few times a year. That payment is called a dividend. You own the thing makes money, the thing pays you for owning it. You don't do anything. You don't answer emails, you don't ship a package, you don't show up anywhere. You just own it, and it pays you. Now the payments start small. I won't lie to you about that. If you put $1,000 into a broad dividend fund, you might get somewhere around $20–30 a year back at first. I know, that sounds like nothing. When I saw my first dividend hit, it was like $4, and I almost laughed. $4. Big deal, right? But here's what changes everything. You take those dividends and you reinvest them, meaning they automatically buy more shares, which then pay their own dividends, which buy more shares. That's the snowball. And it's slow and it's boring, and then one day you look up and it's not slow anymore. Let me make it concrete, because snowball is another one of those words that sounds nice and means nothing until you see the actual numbers. Say you put in $300 a month into a simple, broad index fund that pays dividends. That's $10 a day. That's the DoorDash order you didn't place. Over time, with the dividends reinvesting and the market doing roughly what it's done for the last 100 years, that turns into hundreds of thousands of dollars. And eventually, those dividends alone are paying you thousands a year without you adding another dime. But I need to normalize something here, because I don't want you to hear $300 a month and immediately feel like garbage because you can't do $300 a month. Most people in their late 20s can't, not at first. Rent's eating half your paycheck, student loans are back, groceries cost what a car payment used to. If $300 is a fantasy right now, that is not a you problem. That's just the math of being alive in America right now. So start with what's real. $50 a month, 25. The number genuinely matters less than the fact that it's happening and it's automatic. The magic here was never the amount. It's the automatic, and it's the time. Somebody putting in $25 a month starting today beats somebody putting in $300 a month who starts next year every single time, because next year has a way of becoming the year after that. And here's the part they really don't explain to you. If your job offers a 401k with a match, that is free money that also pays dividends, and it's the single most overlooked income stream on this entire list. A match means your employer puts in money when you put in money. A super common setup is they match you dollar for dollar up to something like 4% of your salary. So if you're on a $60,000 salary and you put in 4%, that's about $2,400 a year of your money going in, and your employer drops in another $2,400 on top. That's a 100% return before the market does anything at all. You will never, ever find a 100% guaranteed return anywhere else in your entire life. It doesn't exist. Except right there, in the benefit you probably ignored during open enrollment because the form was confusing. I skipped my match for almost 2 full years at my first real job. 2 years. Just left it on the table because I figured I couldn't afford it and I'd start when I made more. Do the math on 2 years of a full employer match walking out the door, plus what that money would have grown into by now, and it's genuinely one of the most expensive mistakes I've ever made. And I made it by doing nothing. That's the thing about this one. Not deciding is still a decision, and it's the expensive one. So if you've got a match and you're not getting all of it, that's your homework. Not someday, this pay period. Log in, bump your contribution up to at least the full match. It's the highest paying thing you'll do all year, and it happens while you sleep for the next 40 years. Quick breath here, because that was a dense stretch and I don't want it to just wash over you. If any of this is landing, do me one small favor and tap the like button. That's genuinely all it takes to help this video get in front of somebody else who's lying awake stressed about money and doesn't know any of this. And if a specific person popped into your head while I was talking, one of your friends who's smart but always broke, send it to them. You don't even have to say anything. They'll get it. All right, stream number 3. And this is the one people get most wrong because they hear passive and think it means no work, and then they get mad when it doesn't work. Income stream number 3, building one thing once that keeps selling. Not dropshipping, not reselling other people's junk, something you make one time that has your fingerprints on it that keeps getting bought after you've stopped touching it. This could be a digital product, a template, a spreadsheet, a guide, a preset, a set of downloadable resources for a job you already know how to do. It could be a printable you sell on Etsy. It could be a Notion template. It could be a short course on something a bunch of people struggle with and you happen to be good at. The pattern's always the same. You spend real effort up front, once. You put it somewhere people can buy it, and then it sells at 11 at night while you're asleep, and again at 9 in the morning while you're in the shower, and you didn't lift a finger for either sale. Here's the mindset shift that makes this actually work, and it's the opposite of what the hustle crowd tells you. You are not trying to invent something brand new that the world's never seen. You're taking something you already know, something that feels obvious and boring to you because you've done it 100 times, and you're packaging it for the person who's exactly 2 years behind you. That's it. The gap between obvious to you and impossible to them is where the money is. Let me give you a real example so this isn't just floating out there. Say you're a freelancer and over the years you built a clean invoice and budget spreadsheet to keep your irregular income from wrecking you every month. To you, that's just your setup. Boring. It's a Tuesday afternoon spreadsheet. But to the freelancer who started last month and is drowning, watching their income swing from $4,000 one month to $1,100 the next, that spreadsheet is the thing that could save their sanity. You'd sell that for $12, $19, $29, and you'd sell it while you sleep, over and over, because you already built it. The work is done. It's just sitting there earning. Now, real talk, because I promised you no guru nonsense. This one is the least passive of the three at the start. It takes actual work to make the thing and even more to get the first few people to find it. The first month might be crickets. You might make one sale and it's your mom. Mine kinda was. But the reason it belongs on this list is that the work is front-loaded. You pay the price once up front, and then the thing keeps paying you back on a schedule you don't control and don't have to show up for. And this is where I want to remove the guilt, because a lot of people never start this one out of a very specific fear. They think, who am I to sell anything? I'm not an expert. You don't need to be the expert. You need to be useful to the person one step behind you. That person doesn't need the world's top authority. They need somebody close enough to remember what confused them. That's you. That's literally the only qualification. So let's talk about how these three actually fit together, because that's the part nobody explains. They're not three separate things you pick between. They're a stack, and each one feeds the next. The high-yield savings is your foundation. It's the safe floor. It holds your emergency money, and it pays you a little just for existing. And it's where the money from the other two streams lands and waits. The dividends and the 401k are your engine. It's the boring, slow, unstoppable middle that quietly becomes the biggest number you'll ever own. And the thing you build and sell is your accelerator. It's the one with the highest ceiling and the most upside, and the money it makes doesn't get blown on takeout. It gets funneled straight into the other two. See what that does? The product you build funds the dividends. The dividends and interest grow while you build the next product. The savings keeps you from panicking and blowing the whole thing up the first time your car needs a repair. Each stream covers a weakness in the other two. That's not three side hustles. That's a system. Now here's the reframe I really need you to sit with for a second because it's bigger than any single one of these three. For your entire life, you've probably thought about money as something you get in exchange for time. You show up, you get paid. You stop showing up, you stop getting paid. That's the only model most of us are ever taught, at home, at school, anywhere. Every single one of these three streams breaks that trade. The interest doesn't care if you showed up. The dividend doesn't check your timesheet. The product you built doesn't know it's a holiday. You've decoupled the money from the hours. And once you've done that even a little bit, even $40 a month of it, something shifts in your head that's honestly worth more than the $40. Because the real thing that keeps people up at night isn't being broke, exactly. It's the feeling that everything's balanced on one thread, and that thread is you not getting sick, not getting laid off, not burning out. The second you've got even $1 coming in that doesn't depend on you clocking in, that thread stops being the only thing holding you up. The anxiety doesn't vanish overnight, but it loosens. And for a lot of people, that first loosening is the thing that finally makes the rest feel possible. That's what "while you sleep" was ever really about. Not yachts, not quitting your job tomorrow. Just the deep, quiet relief of knowing the money keeps breathing even when you have to stop. So let's make this real before you close the app and this becomes another video you nodded along to and forgot. Here's exactly what to do, in order. Tonight, open a high-yield savings account at Ally, Marcus, SoFi, or Capital One 360 and move your savings over. 15 minutes, $400-ish a year on 10 grand, done. This pay period, if your job has a 401k match, log in and bump your contribution up to at least the full match. Highest paying thing you'll do all year. This month, set up an automatic transfer, even $25, into a broad index fund at Fidelity, Schwab, or Vanguard, and turn on dividend reinvestment so it snowballs by itself. And over the next few weeks, write down 3 things you already know how to do that somebody 2 years behind you would pay for. Don't build it yet, just find the thing. You don't have to do all 4 this week. Honestly, if you only do the first one tonight, you're already ahead of where you were this morning, and you're ahead of most people your age, full stop. The whole point was never to overwhelm you. It was to give you the second leg to stand on, so your whole life isn't balanced on whether you can keep showing up forever. If this clicked for you, the video you should watch next is the one where I break down exactly where every dollar of your paycheck should go before you spend a cent of it. Because building these streams gets 10 times easier once your regular money isn't leaking out the bottom. It's the natural next step from here. And I actually want to hear from you in the comments. Of these 3, which one are you closest to already having, and which one feels the most out of reach right now? Be honest. If you've already got the high yield account, but the build something one feels impossible, say that. If you didn't even know about the 401k match, say that too. No judgment. Half of us didn't. I read these and it tells me what to make next. Remember, none of this was about getting rich by Friday. It was about building money that keeps moving after you stop. You do the work once and it pays you while you sleep. That's not a fantasy somebody's selling you. That's just what happens when you stop trading only your hours and start owning things that pay you back. Start with the savings account tonight. The rest follows.